Perfect. Hi guys, I hope you guys are doing very well. Just quickly let me know that which college are you joining from just so that we can get acquainted and start this weekend session. Perfect. Hi guys, I hope. All right. Hello, hi Satya. Hi, good evening Shubham. Just let me know that you guys can hear me perfectly well. Just a thumbs up would be good enough. Perfect. Hi Pawan. Let me know your college name just so that I can know which college are you joining. And if you have any questions on open source community, list them down in the chat session so that we can pick those questions from the keynote speaker of today, and she will answer all your questions. Okay, LBC college is joining up. Cool enough. All right, audible. I think okay, perfect. We are done with the check. Perfect. So just to let you know why this webinar is a little bit special, because Newton School is turning 3 years old this month, right? And just to put it into perspective, we have been doing regular coding sessions throughout this time. We have introduced a lot of products in order to make the user more acquainted with coding and so that they can keep on exercising upon the coding skills. So we have been doing this since the last 3 years, and you have been a very good audience in terms of providing this support. And whenever the new product is coming, we speak to the user, and they have helped in the research key what we can do in order to give them a better experience from uh, from the previous experience. So that's about it. I think most of the people have plugged in, so let's be respectful to each other's time. And okay, Techno India University is joining. Cool, perfect. Chaitanya is asking, what is this video about? Dude, this video is about open source community building. So that how can you build your own community and be an influencer or whatever you want to be, however you want to use, or get good salary offers, or get good job offers, or get internship better offers from India and out of India. It's open for both the places. Thanks, congrats. Thanks very much. Perfect. To speak about today's speaker, I will just get you acquainted with her. So it was great talking to her while we were coming up with this particular session. So we had our own gem of conversation in how to brew this conversation, not just by telling you in the way of a normal webinar, but in the question and answer format. And we will keep on taking your questions, of course, so that you can also get better understanding of it, right? So Vasundra Shukla, she's a member of technical staff at VMware, right, where she handles the open source project of Tanzu Mission Control portfolio, right? And she's a lead at GDG Lucknow, right, and a WTM ambassador, and she has been awarded with the Economic Time Campus Stars 2021. So this is something about her, and I know that's a lot in terms of co-curricular activities, but she's also a trained Bharatanatyam dancer. So these are few of the things which Vasundhara has been doing in the recent past. So I think here she is, Vasundhara. Hi Vasundhara, how have you been doing?
Hi, Lavin. Hi, everyone. I'm doing good. How's everyone?
I think Vasundhara, you can just give a quick round of introduction. Of course, I have given, but you will be giving it in a more better way about yourself. So just let the audience know about yourself, and then we will start with the session. Sounds good to
Sure.
you?
Yeah, sure. And to that, I would say you already covered a lot about me. I don't think so there is anything to add, but yeah, I graduated in 2021 from LNM IIT Jaipur. So after that, I started working at VMware as a member of technical staff. And I got this opportunity during my internship period with VMware, which was like in Jan 21. So I have been associated with this organization since around 2 years, and I was a Google Developer Students Club lead back in college. And after I graduated, I started this GDG Lucknow to like carry on with my community journey because I didn't want to restrict my horizons to the college atmosphere. So yeah, that's about it, and I look forward to talk to you all about open source and share my tips and tricks there.
Perfect. I think Lucknow people are sending you some love.
Uh,
So you
I,
are just
I'm glad, and I would take that all because I'm always feeling that I'm in short of love. So, as many people sending me love, I'm grateful to it.
perfect, perfect. That's a nice touch to start this session upon, right? Okay, perfect. Just to have a few questions before we like start with the proper questionnaires which we have already set for the audience, right? Vasanta, you were saying that while you were starting this journey, so and I also correlate with this particular story of yours, and I'm quite sure the audience will also relate with it, which is that when you started, you just felt that you could have started this journey a little earlier rather than being a little late, right? So I'm quite sure this story will resonate with a lot of folks around, right? So what is the motivation, or what is the right mindset for them, that even if they start like in the fourth year and they're like after the college, whenever it is, whenever the right time is, they feel or they have understood that, right? So what is the mindset should they keep in their mind, team, bro, this is the right time, there is no perfect right time. If I'm having the drill of it, I will just do some things out of it.
So exactly as you said, there is no right time, and we have had multiple examples of people starting late and reaching those heights and being so experienced in the field that they have started late in. So it totally resonates with tech also, and I'll like be very honest about my example as well, not to brag anything about and not to like undermine the different aspect as well, but. I was not a person who used to regularly code first thing in college, and I was not a regular or open source contributor as well. I was just going with my academics. Okay, I was diligent in my academics, that is there, but it was just academics. And people, the students who have joined this webinar, know that okay, academics is not just enough to land you something after college. That is a part of your curriculum, but that's not just enough. And I was doing that only till my fourth year was the time, okay, I had that eureka moment that okay, this would not land me anywhere. So I did my practicing in my like DSA coding, etc., etc., and there only I started contributing to the open source journey as well. So people who have joined from fourth year and they are not doing anything, you have an example here that it's not late. And people who are in their first, second, or third years are like in any year of their college time, and even I say for the postgrad people also who are pursuing their masters. I mean, whenever you want to start any new thing, you can do it. It's as simple as that. I feel like I want to like learn guitar, I want to learn how to play guitar. It's not like that I have to be like a younger person to learn it. I can learn even now, right? So there is no right time, of course, and you can start wherever you want to. If you are starting early, of course, like it has its own benefits, but it is not like that overpowers the people who are starting late. So it's about that. And also this is not to say that if you are currently in your early stages of college, that okay, you have a lot of time and you can start late, not to say that as well. So at whatever like time period you are, whatever time frame you are in your college life, or yeah, exactly that. So you can start contributing to open source, do your DSAs, like learn a new tech, anything that is helping you to enhance your own brand or your growth or your personal like tech skills or soft skills or anything that will help you land somewhere where you want to be. I won't be specific with tech also, but where you want to be, just start at whatever time you feel that okay, now you have the motivation, now you have the like the mindset of it, go ahead with it. Don't wait also, and don't think that you're too late.
Okay, perfect. All right. Just to get started with the whatever we are questionnaires we have discussed. let's start about what is open source community. Like a lot of people are putting questions in the live chat session. What is this session? What is open source? What, where they can get started? Just a little bit about open source for them.
Okay. So, most of you would know what is open source, but to be very specific in layman terms, like you folks have been using open source since you were kids, like even me as well. Like, the browsers, like any programming language that you use these days. Uh, like a good example would be VLC Media Player. All these projects, these are open source projects that, like, open source is something which is everywhere. And for a beginner, what do we mean by open source is that projects that are readily available, like in general, which is free to use and you can use it, build it, contribute to it. I mean, of course, open source licenses are there, which is sorry, did I get some? Did you
No, no,
say
there
something?
was some technical glitch. You can continue.
Okay, okay, sorry. So I was just saying that. I mean, projects that are readily available where you can use those projects and you can contribute to it, and they are free to use. I mean, apart from the licenses, some open source licenses are also there, which is again a long topic to discuss, but I won't go through it. But mostly the projects are free and they are useful. Like other organizations, other companies are using some wide open source projects, and like so are we as individuals in our day to day life while we are building any application or web thing or something, so on and so forth. But yeah, like they are free to use and yeah, are free to access, modify, and like of course has an inclusive community. By inclusive community, I would say that anyone, like I'm like reiterating, anyone who has an interest in a particular domain that is related to a particular open source project can contribute to it. All you need is the motivation and the right mindset, like, and of course the interest in it. And anyone, regardless of anything, like you are a student, you are a working professional of any part of this world, you can go and contribute. So that forms an inclusive community. And yeah, you of course collaborate with people globally, because since they are readily available, anyone from the world is contributing there anyway, so you get to interact with those people as well. And like example for an open source thing could be Android, right? Android is like an open source operating system, which is used by so many companies. Linux is there, like where so many servers run Linux. Kubernetes, where of course I have put my hands dirty on Kubernetes, and so many organizations have been using it, pertaining to the fact that it's called the future tech. So inclusivity is here, is all about being able to contribute by modifying the code base and adding your personal value to that open source ecosystem.
Perfect. Like when I was listening to your whole dialogue about this, the open source, right? What question came into my mind is that a lot of people say this is what it's all about, right? But as a user and as a student, what I was just understanding is that how can I get started, or what has been your journey, or what has been your pathway, that how you started, what, so that they can at least get some flavor from your own personal experiences so that they can get started.
Okay. So, how I started was that when I got to know that I am having my internship, okay, it was not there. Like, I have other motivations and other reasons to tell people why they should start. For me, the reason was totally different. The reason for me was that when I landed my internship in this particular organization, I was told that I would be working in Kubernetes. Like Kubernetes would be one of the tech stack. Okay. But coming from the background, like the college background, I was like a person who knew web. I was more on like the backend thing. I worked on Python, Django. Like these Django was a framework I used mostly, and like Python was my language back then. So when like I was told, okay, Kubernetes and your language would be Golang, I'm like they hired me for something and I am not aware about this technology. What should I do? So I started going through these tutorials regarding Kubernetes and all, and there I came across this full Kubernetes community. Okay. Before even like starting my internship journey, I came across this Kubernetes community, and there I saw, okay, Kubernetes is an open source project where I learned about this by reading the code base and all. So Kubernetes itself has some 70 plus repositories, and of course I haven't gone through all of them myself, but
Mhm.
like three or four that were like really intriguing to my space. Then went through those and I contributed there, and that was to get myself accustomed to that particular technology. It wasn't like really I would say that okay, it is going to enhance your resume, etc., etc. And apart from DSA, this is something that is really being looked by the hiring people. I was already hired. But to get into that technology space, I needed something, some insight about it, because I was not from that background. So this helped me when I started my open source contributions to Kubernetes before even I landed my, like, before I started my internship journey and then, of course, my job thing. So there I gained insights by going through those projects, talking to people in that community, and contributing there. And when I like started doing my projects in my internship, it became pretty easy for me, like, because I understood that concept pretty well. So that
Mhm.
was my journey of starting. It was pretty late, of course, during my fourth year, as I said, but like I wouldn't say late again, because that neglects my first answer. But then for people who say ki, okay, you should start in your second year, third year, so on and so forth, I was the one who started after those people. But then currently it's going pretty nice, because here in my current work revolves around open source. Every day I'm raising PRs contributing to open source, so it's like not like a separate thing, but I'm working on that as well.
Okay, perfect. So my next question for you would be: is that we have understood what open source is, we have understood what you have contributed in, right? But as an individual, I'm just trying to understand that why should I put in that extra effort? Like, you go, like you said, you were working, you already had an internship or an offer in your hand, right? But you went a little bit extra just to build your own personality out of it, right? So my question is, why an individual should go extra for it? What are the extra benefits are the reaping out of it? because
So
I'm quite sure it's very difficult to manage your work, then your extra work, and then your personal and social life all at the same hand,
yeah.
right? So how do you think it all comes into hands after a while, or how it will get benefited?
Okay, so it would be a very generic thing. I would not now relate it with my particular journey, but to answer that, why contributing to open source is important and it's beneficial, I'll cover that also. Like in let's just take say Android. Okay, in such
Mhm.
large scale projects you must think like where anyone can contribute, and these projects are actually looking for contributors. But people, there is no bar, of course, because that is about the inclusivity here. So there is no bar of people, so anyone can contribute. Why should you particularly go and contribute? So it's like basically let's just talk about first year and second year students. Okay,
Mhm.
so they are basically not really like, I don't think so. Might be the scenarios are different now, but while I was back in my first and second year, I didn't really find many internships that
Mhm.
were like getting provided for the like first 2 years of college graduates. Okay, I believed only like internships and job offers came for third year and fourth year people. So for
Mhm.
the first 2 years of like students, it's a very great way to actually get into the real world software development experience. So by which I mean is that you start in your like college curriculum, you do little small projects, dummy projects under any professor or something, that you of course do. But when you go to open source where people who are already working are contributing, and like there are people who do it as a hobby, of course, and there are very many great people doing that, and you get to a chance to collaborate with them and go on to the production code base, because since these projects are readily available, they are used by other organizations as well. So these are like into production, they are running, and they are into like the day to day life of everyone. So you are getting a real world software development experience without having an internship. So that becomes a major part of it. Okay. And so this like starting to contribute, it's a great way to get your hands dirty if you know the tech. Okay, of course, like enhances your resume when like any HR, mm, ask anyone. Okay, anyone who has got an internship from your college or is having a job offer, some or the other person would have like experienced this, that people shortlist like nowadays. Of course DSA is there, but apart from that, what do they see in your projects and all? So if you have a project that is widely used and people know about that particular project, so if you say you have contributed to open source and you have added Kubernetes as a project in your resume, that enhances it to another level only. So this is like projects use getting being used everywhere in the world, and you put the same on your resume. You actually do networking like apart from the geographical location, like sitting here you like communicate with people in Europe, USA, of course, because this is a wide community, and people project maintainers are not specific to a particular location, nor that company also. If you are contributing a lot, you get recognition in the community and you become like a known person there. So that is another thing. And then that motivation, get to the fun part also, which is basically you get to travel the world, of course. Regarding there are many meetups, conferences, let's say like open source summit is there, then KubeCon is there, all these summits happen throughout the world, like. And if you are a good contributor, you do get invited to it, and traveling is of course paid for you, and all that leads this particular this scenario of this real world software development experience that you get while you contribute, that of course will land you a job or an internship, definitely, definitely. Even if like uh, not to undermine any other aspect, but if you have this particular pointer in your resume that is highlighted, and your profile has to get shortlisted, because not many people in their college phases do it, not many people do it. So if you are one of those who are doing it and who has made a name there, then your resume is at par, I would not say at par, above others in the lot, because there are so many resumes getting to so many companies these days. But to get it at par, of course, 5 star in some particular recording platform, 6 star there, you are a master or something, those tags and all, they are like good. But if you have this as well, then like there is no chance that your profile is not getting shortlisted. So it's like I am like short of reasons to tell you now. It's like I am like anyone can go and see. It is so much beneficial for you, and I can just keep on talking and talking on it. But yeah, we need to cover other things as well.
Yeah, I also have come across to one of my collaborators. So he has his own community, right? And he has been asked to come at the sessions or conferences hosted by Google, by Samsung, by IITs, whatever the sessions are. He has been asked to come as a guest or as a participant to like be there just for a while. And that too, there was one event which he posted on his LinkedIn. I'm not able to recollect his name at the moment, but because you said it, so it just clicked in my head that there was one time he went to US for some, I think, Google or Samsung ka event, and over there he went with his own family. And when he posted that particular picture on LinkedIn, then at that particular time, I didn't know him personally, right? I just spoke to him like twice or thrice. But when he wrote that story, I just felt it that what the power of a good personal branding is, and he has just become a person from whatever he has done for the for his community. So he has become the star from being nothing, but by being just whatever he had in his brain and just being out there. So I really appreciate that guy. If I know, I will just stop you and I will just say the name if I have to, but I won't,
Yes,
of course.
God. I would also love to hear other examples. See, I also got some of this, I would say, personal branding and all because of my contributions, and of course because of the community ventures that I run. So that is something I do out of my personal joy and my particular interest. Okay. It's like community is not paying me for anything to do.
Yeah.
That is not my job, but that's my personal interest, and I'm doing it for the people because whatever I learn, I want to give it back. I want to have a community of people where I can like organize meetups, conferences, and they can learn about that particular technology, or let's just say not even technology, about there are so many other various skill sets that is important in the corporate world these days. So it's like I personally feel joy in running a community, and of course my daily work is something that makes me happy. So I can understand what you were trying to say with that person's particular experience, and this when you get the little rewards for these
Yeah,
particular
yeah,
things,
yeah.
that is the time when you feel okay, this was for, this moment was for I waited for, and this is the result of all my hard work. So that time is very important and you should nourish it. So I take moments, I take time out of my daily life to actually appreciate and back myself for these little things and little achievements that I get from contributing.
What I believe of how he would have responded to his mom whenever you're sitting in a closed room and whenever you're lost with it, you have to like do something extra in your life, right? So you are basically into a space where you don't want any disturbance. You just want to be with yourself, your research, and just talking to people, those who can like help you elevate on those, right? So every Indian mom says ki why are you sitting in the room quietly? What is wrong with you? I'm like, Mom, this is where I wanted to be. And see, here we are together. So that's what I would have done if I would have been at this situation. I'm not sure how he has taken that, but I'm quite sure I would have taken in this way. Either ways, now let's take up the. I'm quite sure everything has a little myths about it or little wrong negative convocations around those things, right? So, just to put it into perspective, what are the myths usually come across or believe in when it comes to open source community?
Okay. So I have come across myths. Myths would be like what people have told me about
Yep.
regarding open source, and what I, being in that particular zone, feel that is not the case. Okay. So first thing is, which I already said in my previous answer regarding your resume. Okay. If you put a contribution related to open source, that is not going to enhance your resume. People are only looking for DSA, coding skills, that you, if you are able to solve a particular question in a particular time complexity and effectively, that is what is asked in the coding skills and the DSA rounds for any company that is hiring for a tech profile. So believe that is not the case. For I have seen so many people who were not that great, who have never done competitive coding, just a little bit of coding knowledge and idea about DSA and algorithms, and of course basic things related to it. But having great open source contributions, great names in the community, companies are looking for those. Like who would not want a person who is already renowned and popular and known by people, who has so many connections? Any
Exactly.
organization would want it. So it's like, if you are saying only the DSA is important, no, that is not the case. It is important, but if open source is there, your resume is not lacking anywhere. So if you are brilliant in open source and you have so many contributions but your DSA skills are okay, then also you're going to land up a good at a good place. So that is one thing, that DSA is not just everything, and open source matters, and it matters because people are looking these days to such people who are well known in the community. So you can definitely have your personal growth there, you can build your brand, and also tell this, okay, how much have you contributed in open source, what has that, how has that helped you whenever you land into an interview next time. Okay, just elaborate about your community and open source experience, then the interviewer will have his ideology change. So you can like transfer the interview from, like, let's just say if the interviewer was expecting about DSA and all, which of course you have a knowledge about, he would not ask you two more questions. He would he or she would then like maybe be guided towards asking you more about your projects, your contributions, your extra ventures that you had. So this is on you how you can like divert the interview process. And of course, like, myths, I would say this was one myth. And secondly, it's like it's another thing is not everyone gets that popularity, that recognition, that fame. And I would say it's like not a myth, but to be honest, if you're contributing and if you're consistent with it, you'll definitely get into that zone. And you will have a good networking zone. You will have people in across the world knowing you, and you will of course know them. So you will build your network if you're consistent and you have that right mindset. If you like, okay, you have done one contribution to one particular project and then you're gone, any big project you take up. So I'll just see Kubernetes in itself, so many people have contributed, even in thousands. How many people are known? But like even one contribution, your name will come as a contributor, right? But the known people who are leading the steering committee and all of that, I personally know them. They, some of them are in my organizations itself. So these are the people who have been consistent throughout. So if you are consistent and if you're not losing your heart after maybe say one contribution or two contributions, that okay, it's enough, then you will get that, you will get to that place. All you need to do is be consistent. That is the second thing I would say.
Perfect. I think before we go and take any further questions, audience, क्या कोई आपके पास questions हैं? If you have any, please tag them into the live chat session, because that's the purpose of coming live and not having a pre-recorded session, right? So if you have any, just put it in the chat box. Vasundra will try to answer, because of course this is the way we can get a personalized answer. Um, one guy is asking, is there any chance that we can join your community, ma'am?
My community, I would just ask a question. My community, in the sense, the GDG community, or what else are we talking about?
I think Safi Sheikh, I think you can answer that. What do you want to join? I think you can find her on LinkedIn. So wherever you want, you can just tag, let her know, or you can put it in the chat box. Neela is asking where to join open source community.
Okay, so about the community, to be a part of the open source community, you need to first know the projects, you need to know the organization where you want to contribute, then the project. Once you actually have your contributions, then you become the part of the community. So that's a process. You don't just click a button and like become a member there. So that does not happen. So it's like a full process. Once you have contributed, you're already a part of a particular open source community. And to the previous question, if the person is talking about the GDG community, you can like message me on LinkedIn, or you can just visit gdg.community.dev, and there you can find all the chapters that are maybe to your particular location, and you can go and join them. That's a very simple process. I won't be explaining it. You can go join as a member, not just Lucknow community, like from wherever you are joining and whichever place you're currently based in, you can find that particular chapter from the search bar and go and join it.
Perfect. As we're speaking about the communities, this is the right time to ask this question from you, Vasundra. Is that how can a person find communities and organizations to solve issues?
Are we talking about open source issues, right? Like
That's
which
right.
organization to pick up?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so how to find organizations? So I would say before that, to actually start with your open source contributions, there are just three prerequisites that you need. Okay, you need three. I would say I'll add a fourth one later, which is three would be basic Git knowledge. Git knowledge are like how to fork a repo, how to like add a commit, how to push the commit, pull the commit, all these like 4 or 5 commands, that's all you know, and how to use like Git basically. That's one thing. Second, a particular programming language that you're interested in or you have worked upon it and you know it, like basic to intermediate knowledge of that particular programming language. And third, a particular tech you're interested in, say mobile, say web, say cloud, say DevOps, say IoT, ML, anything that a particular tech you're interested in. If you have the answer to these three, you're good to start with contributing to open source organizations. How to find the organization of your choice? So basically what I did was going through GitHub and I searched for like the tech stack I know and the organizations related to it. That is one thing. Second thing you can do is by visiting the Summer of Code website, the Google Summer of Code website. So there you see like the site is what, Summer of Code with the dot with google.com, I believe. So there you can go to that particular site and all you need to do is like search for the organizations. There is a organization tab. Go for the organization or go for the projects. So even if you're not like, I would say not participating in the Google Summer of Code program, like not doing that, you can still find your organization from there. So go there, search for the organization. Like there is a filter related to the particular technology, web, IoT, etc., etc. You can use that, or you can also filter using a particular language. Say you have to contribute in Python. Search for Python. You'll get all the organizations that are using Python. Like select an organization of your choice there, and then you will get view ideas. There would be a thing called view ideas where you can see all the ideas or all the projects under that organization that are listed, and there you can go. There would be a mailing list provided, a GitHub repo link there. Go to the GitHub repo, look, go to the README, check everything there, and join the mailing list where in that particular organization, on that particular organization where you want to contribute. So, like these are ways you can also like if you're interested in say maybe GitOps, you can actually like GitOps. I would say DevOps related projects. You can go to this Native Foundation CNCF. Okay, so after like you have found that particular organization of your interest, first thing you should do is basically like I would talk about this contribution thing maybe, but yeah, this is how you can find the organization. But how to start contributing, if you want me to cover, I'll just tell that as well.
Perfect. Just to take a few questions from the live session. Can you tell me about GSOC and Microsoft Engage? Naman is asking.
Okay. So GSOC, like there are, I would say 20 plus such programs. GSOC, Outreachy, Girls Grip, Summer of Code, Hacktoberfest, and this Microsoft Engage. All these programs are there where you can actually go contribute to open source for a particular organization and also get like that's a program they have, and you also get rewarded for it, like in terms of monetary benefits as well. So these are a great way to motivate yourself to start into open source. But I would say don't just go for the rewards. Okay, if you really want to contribute to open source, this is a good place to start. But when you are applying for, let's just say GSOC, if you're applying for GSOC and if you know the organization and the project where you want to contribute by like following the process that I told previously, start contributing to those before the timeline of GSOC starts. Okay, so you have to submit an application to apply to GSOC, right? How will your application get shortlisted? If that the people who are reviewing the application have seen you contributing in the past as well. So there is a particular problem to solve in these as well, right? So it's like not just you will apply, there would be so many other people who would apply, but how will you have an edge? Because you are already visible to these people. Okay, you're visible that this person has already contributed in the past, and it's not just doing for this particular sake. So that's a very good point, I would say. If you start contributing before the timeline of this GSOC application starts, start contributing at least 4 5 months before. Show some good contributions there, show some like your value there, and then actually draft your application accordingly. And there is like high chance that you get selected for this, and then of course you can code throughout that journey. So this is one pointer that I give to many other people where I have spoken in other conferences. So this was also told to me, so I am like passing the information to you all in that case. So GSOC, the application is pretty simple to apply, but what will give you an edge is that you show your contributions and your engagement before the application timeline starts.
Perfect. So here's a question by Aryan who has got 3+1. So what is the minimum level of coding knowledge do we need to contribute in open source? While we are speaking, we have got one more plus one.
Okay. So when I shared the prerequisites, Git, programming language, and the tech that you're interested in. Programming language, I already said, basic to intermediate knowledge. Okay. You should know how to run a good program. Let's just say bind, search, or like sorting and all of that. That is all taught to you in your first, second year of college by the your course curriculum only. If you are from like CS or IT background, if not also that, then I know people who are interested in computer science, they must know this thing. You are not required to be using like high level, I would say. There is one particular concept, let's just say in Go language there is something called mocking and other test cases and all these things you're not required to know. For like contributions to open source, you can just mm, know how to write basic programs, maybe write you know the syntax of writing a map, set, uh, list, array, etc., etc. You should know the syntax of these things, but not like complex things like Go routines or mocks in Go language, particularly. I'm saying about these things. So that is not at all required. The best thing in open source is you spend a lot more time in reading than you do while you write the code. That is one thing, because you need to understand that particular project. Okay. And while you understand that particular project, you learn simultaneously. So even if you're not an expert in that particular programming language, while you go through that project, you are learning about it, you go through the documents and the readme and the templates examples that it holds, you automatically learn about that programming language. If there is a particular structure that is used in a code base, for example, you're solving a particular issue or a bug, and you're writing two lines about it, and that particular file itself, that particular file contains a particular say structure that is not known by you, you'll automatically search there, right? So it's like contributing in open sources, learning with the go learning on the go sorry learning on the go. So it's not at all required that you be a master of that programming language. You should know the basic syntax. That is enough. You can learn while you contribute, which is the good part.
Perfect. I think, guys, a few people are repeating the questions again and again. I'm not sure if they have joined late or they have not got the answer, but make sure if you know the answer, please start your open source community session right now and please answer them by tagging them. Do you think it is the right way, Vasundra?
Sorry.
I'm saying people are asking a question again and again, which you have already answered in this session. So I think they can just start answering the other people questions, which you have
Yeah.
already covered, so that they can start the gist of open source already.
I mean, yeah, please help me. Of course, I am a single person here trying to answer all your questions, but I believe so many people in the audience would already know a lot of things, even more than me. So, if you have some pointers to add, please write in the chat and help your fellow mates there. And in case I would just try to reiterate this. In case we are not able to cover any of the pointers, that any questions that you personally had, you can ping me on LinkedIn. I'll answer your questions like within a span of a week. Just give me that time, because I'm a bit preoccupied with some work here and there, but I'll definitely answer your questions in case you are not able to cover here.
Plus, we have 78 people watching right us right now. Just to start with your what do you say? Your community gist, right? You guys can like tag your LinkedIn profiles into the chat box so that any person who is interested can be a part of it. Like Aryan के पास काफी सारे plus ones आ गए हैं. So Aryan can put it or other people can put it so that they can keep the conversation floating among themselves. So this can be a
Yeah,
first actually.
yeah, make your own connections here. Okay, LinkedIn is a very good medium. Make your connections. And I would also say LinkedIn is another medium that is being misused these days. Don't just randomly send requests to people or HRs. Okay, if you're particularly interested in a particular organization, you want to apply there, or if you want a referral from a particular person who's already working there, if you have a use case motivation, then please send the request. And in case you want to network, you utilize such mediums, utilize webinars, networking sessions, meetups, conferences. Try attending in-person meetups, which is happening these days now. Thankfully, COVID has decided and people are getting more back into the offline mode again. So try attending those and get your networking there. Don't overutilize LinkedIn also, but utilize it in the on the, till the extent it is good for you, and also it's helping you.
Yeah, and guys, moreover, Neuron School is coming up with a lot of webinars. So I'm a marketing guy, so you guys can plug in whenever you want to for the Neuron School webinar sessions. Feel free to plug in. Perfect. All right. So the next question which we have for tonight is challenges while contributing to the open source community.
Yeah. So challenges, that's a long list for me, but I would say
Just mention few of those which you think the audience would might relate. If there are more, I will pick it up from the live session and I will just jot it down because we have just 10 minutes left. So guys,
yeah.
if you have any questions, make sure you put it in the chat box or it's available unread.
Okay. So, talking about particular challenges that anyone who contributes to open source faces is, firstly, if you have like already like contributed, there is a chance of good long running reviews. Okay. So, when you raise your first pull request, like, not, let's not just say first, but first would definitely have some good comments in it. So, open source is one strict medium, I would believe, in terms of getting your code changes into production. So since there are so many other people, there are project maintainers specially there for reviewing your code. There's not just one. If you're taking a good project, there are many project maintainers, and people keep a strict eye on the PRs that are going in. So there is a high chance that your PR gets stuck. And like for example, you raise your PR today. Might be the case that it takes around 1 month or more to merge in, get into production. You can get several comments on it requesting multiple changes. I've seen people just raising like 2-3 lines of code changes, and their PR was stuck for good 20 days, and they had 20 comments on their PR just for 3 lines of code changes. So that can happen. Okay, that is one thing that you might face, and that's the biggest challenge when you contribute to open source, because it's it has to maintain a particular coding standard, because that code is going to production. It's not just for one your particular project or not for one particular company. It's being used by everyone in the world. So that has to maintain some standards, and that is why this can be one that this is the biggest challenge, I would say. Then might be the case with these long running reviews, your PRs might also get rejected, saying it's not up to the mark, it's not satisfying the coding standard, and it's not solving our issue. There are issues on GitHub, and your PR would actually be either a feature request, you are enhancing the particular code base, or issue could be related to a bug. There is a bug in the system and you are actually correcting it with your code changes. So if that particular PR is not solving the problem or not getting the PR up to the mark, like the code changes are not up to the mark, chances are there that your PR gets rejected and your code does not go in. That is going to happen, not every time, but might happen. So one thing is there. And another thing is with these running PRs, long running conversations with the maintainers, with the other project contributors, and rejections in the beginning, it's very hard to have that motivation maintained. Like when I said you have to be consistent with contributing to open source, that is a difficult task. It's not very easy that every day I sit and solve two DSA questions. That could be, like, I would say, comparatively easier. But this is not going to be easy because you will have to face rejections. You will have to face prolonged reviews on your PR, and that will take you to losing your motivation. So it's very hard to, like, maintain that motivation. And especially there are a lot of unknowns with no dedicated mentor. So very important thing is that here you are not working in an organization, you're not doing an internship, you are doing everything on your own. You are just like landing into an ecosystem of all unknowns. You just have an interest in that particular technology and that coding language, but you are, that is an ecosystem of unknowns, and you have no one to guide you. At in the starting, no one is guiding you there. Okay, all you have to do is research on your own, like go around the repository, read the code, learn the code, and then starting to contribute into it. So there is no dedicated mentor in the starting. So there are a lot of unknowns, and you have to pick things, you have to Google things, and you have to take like, I would say, search around in the mailing list regarding similar issues that people have faced regarding in the code base. Okay, search on GitHub regarding that particular keyword, what is the use case of it. So these things would be there that you have to do it on your own. Okay, in the start no one will actually babysit you, and you have to actually do things on your own. There is going to be no mentor there. So, but apart from these challenges, there are things to solve them also. Mentor, if he or she is not there, you can join mailing list where contributors, project maintainers, and daily people who actually have their presence on that particular repository, they are added. Okay, join Slack channels, join the Gitter channels, and post your queries there. Not, if not one person, there is going to be not one person who's going to mentor you. There would be responses to your query. If not for the first time, do it again. Just try asking after you have done your own research. Don't just go and ask silly questions also, but use these channels of that particular project and try to get your queries resolved. Okay, and even if your PR is rejected, go ahead, pick up a second issue, work on it. You cannot just sit back after, okay, this is not working for me, I'm not contributing to open source. That is not going to help you.
Perfect. There's a question I think it might be important for the users to all get answered. Number of months required to prepare for GSOC.
Number of preparation depends on what is your current caliber in terms of the project you are trying to take up. So you need to know two things. First of all, where which project you want to contribute, and if you have selected a particular project, you should know what language and what tech stack they are using. Then you need to assess yourself based on that particular programming language and the tech. If you have already done projects related to that particular tech, you don't need much preparation. That is pretty simple, straightforward. But as I said earlier, also while giving that answer regarding GSOC and Microsoft Engage, you need to start contributed well before the time period of the application starts. That is one thing. So contribute before it. But for preparation, it totally depends on your current caliber and your knowledge. If you are not good with that particular tech stack, but you have an interest in it, try doing some mini projects, try going through tutorials, courses, etc., etc. Do that first and then start your contributions. If you are already good with it, start with your contributions directly. So I cannot like actually specify a number there. It totally depends on an individual.
Perfect. So somebody's asking, can someone participate in GSOC 2023 with very little experience in programming, and how much time required to fully prepare for the same?
See, these are all repetitive questions that I've already told you. Very little experience in programming, then take good time, brush up your programming skills, take one particular language, be good in it, at least learn to write basic code, if not, like I would say, not go into the deep level things into it, but you should know how to write basic DSA problems in it, learn that much, and then get your interest in tech by doing one or two mini projects. Go through YouTube tutorials. I would say YouTube is the best medium. Go through tutorials related to these projects of that particular technology, and then you can do. See, it also is on you. If you're giving majority time of the day just to this particular thing, I'm considering your college things, your college assignments, your I would say your tests and midterms and terms, and maybe some of you would be doing some other internships and like combining all these things, you have very little time for these. Like in a day, you have very little time to contribute to open source and like get prepared for it. If that is the case, it will take you good 6 months at least. Like if you have to learn the programming language, do a mini project, then start contributing. If you are giving most of the time of your day just to this, then it can be done in a lesser span of time as well.
Perfect. I think before we get done with this session, let's just quickly go through with one last question which I wanted to ask you since a very long time. So you have been contributing into this journey, right? But I think every user must be asking this question: Ki, what is the growth am I seeing in myself, right? And what is the brand I'm building out of me, or what are the personality traits I'm building out of it? So if you can just answer that question into like 30 seconds for the users.
Yeah. Um, I would talk about my personal brand. So, contributing to open source has definitely helped me level up my tech skills. Okay. Uh, Tech skills, one thing. My documentation skills. I was not a person who used to write, like, I'm not into content creating, right? I am not into this. I will talk about tech, but I'm not a person who is doing YouTube tutorials and all of this, and like not publishing blogs to that extent. But if you're fully working, like I'm fully invested in open source project as of now during my work, so there I have to write documentations also. Of course, documentation in a code format, but definitely documentations is there, examples, templating, because that is required for other people. If you're writing a documentation and your project is open source, people who are trying to contribute from outside, they need to know, right, what this project is about. So for ease of getting to them, to like for ease of understanding, there should be a documentation present in your project. That documentation, templating, I would say, etc etc, other resources, that also is to be done by the person who is contributing. So another thing, that important point that I missed earlier, was if you have very little coding experience, right, that question was asked, you can start contributing in documentation as well. So if you know about that particular project, pick up the documentation, see if there are issues related to documentation, correct those. You need not write a particular feature or a function and add to it. You can contribute to the documentation only. You can contribute to the examples. There is an example directly in most of the projects where it is for the ease of use, right? What kind of examples can you run through this particular project, and how you need to use the command line or something like that. You can go contribute to these things if you are fully not like not full fledged with that particular coding skill. So I would just start with these and pick the programming language on the go. And to build all these skills, right, I have seen a personal growth in my tech skills, my content skills, my delivery skills. Like in an open source environment, you have to work under pressure, right? Because there is like release is due. Because if your project is being used by other organizations, they ask for, okay, we need this particular feature which is missing. So there are releases though, you have to work under pressure. So that kind of atmosphere, so it has helped me a lot in my personal growth, in my soft skills, in my tech skills, and of course building a brand. People know me now. So, like, not every one of you, of course, does not know me, but like quite a few people know me now, which happened only after my contributions here. So that is like the perks are never ending. Okay, the enhancement, the personal growth is never ending. It has started and it will continue. So don't just think about it, just start it, and once you get into it, you will automatically feel interested, and you will be like a, I would say, there would be a day where you will enjoy it thoroughly, that you would want to do more and more. Trust me on this.
Perfect. I trust you, Vasundhara, 100% on it. It was
Thank
a lovely session, Vasundhara, having with you. Guys, there were a lot of questions which we missed because we had time crunches. I really appreciate Vasundhara coming and you giving the your keynote session to my audience. I hope my audience has some understanding from it. If you have any more questions, you can reach out to Vasundhara on her LinkedIn. And I think you give a lot of keynote speeches nowadays, so you can catch her up. I'm quite sure she must be updating it on her LinkedIn. And to give it a more perspective, guys, as Newton School is turning 3 years old, so we are having our contest, which is on 30th of November, right? Just to start your journey of coding contest, you can register for that particular contest. There's a pinned link in the YouTube session where you can just go and register for the same, right? And the prize money for the same is 90,000, right? And the questions are designed by ICPC finalists, and these are unique questions designed every unique time by these folks, right? So that's the gist about it. Plus, we have a grand coding contest coming up very soon. So if you are, we are very pumped to have that grand contest with you. So make sure you just register with us, and you will get the updates really, really soon, right? I think that's about it for tonight. Really appreciate you guys joining in on a weekend, right? I hope you had some learning out of it. I got some. I'm not sure about you. You can tag yourself on the, you can put your LinkedIn in the comments so that people can network with you, because network is your net worth. All right, so that's the gist. Signing off from now. And this has been my dream to say, make sure if you liked it, you like it. Make sure if you liked it, then you share it. And if you have any comments for us, please give us the comment, because we would appreciate that. All
Yeah,
right.
please reach out to me also in case you have any feedback for me. Please reach out to me. I would love to have your feedbacks and improve next time. And also, for the people who did not get their questions answered, reach out to me and do participate in the Newton Schools coding contest, the November one, and the grand coding contest, especially. So, look out for these and register for those. They would definitely help you.
The best part is, even though we are time up, still 54 people are joining up. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend and have a safe weekend with your loved ones. Signing off from now. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you, Vasundhara.
See you.